Those of you that watch this a lot know how religious I am about the time that I wake up and the thing that I do when I wake up. You guys know I wake up at 4:35 a.m. and I work out at 5 a.m. That's really a function of, one, I feel better when I'm moving a lot in the morning. Two, it's really the only time that I have to work out in my day because I've got all my work, I've got my clients, I've got things that I'm doing for my own company, I've got things that I'm doing for my other company, and I've got a wife and I've got 2 children, and I get tired at night. So really the only time that I have to work out is 5 a.m. to 6 a.m. But it doesn't always happen. So last week I forgot to set my alarm. This is a rare occurrence because I use my iPad and normally it says set your alarm again for 4:35 and I'm like, yes. And I forget why I didn't do it, but I didn't do it. I forgot to set my alarm, but I woke up on my own at 5:09. Now that's obviously too late for me to get to the gym. It starts with CrossFit class at 5. It's not like you can just go whenever you want to go. There's a progression to it. You've got to be in on every single thing that you do there. And in my mind, I'm sitting there laying in bed at 5:09 thinking like, well, maybe I'll just take the day off because I want to say that it'd been like 4 or 5 days in a row. And maybe I'll take the day off today. I'll just relax. I won't worry about it. But one day off turns into 2 or 3 really easily. And so I decided I'm not doing that. So I got up and I strapped on my weighted vest, which looks like a bulletproof vest, but it's got weight plates in it. And I went for a run. I went for a 2-mile run. Here's the lesson that I want to share with you guys in that is that a little is always better than none, which seems like a super simple thing, but I recognize that 1, the simple stuff works, and 2, most people don't do it. A little bit is better than none. Here's the deal. A little bit is essential. A little bit is essential. I talk about this a lot with clients is that anything hard is just a series of easy things. So when we tend to overlook the little bit, what we're really saying no to is we're saying no to the entire thing. So I used to get overwhelmed by big things. Like really, really big things that I needed to do or felt like I needed to do. And this would be something like launching an entire new product that so much goes into that, from the product itself to the fulfillment model to the pricing model to how each step of the marketing works, how each step of the sales works, capacity. Like there's a ton of stuff to think about. And there have been times where I put that off because it felt so big and it felt like it was something that was going to take me years to do. And so I would keep on saying like, I'll do that a little bit later. Like I would procrastinate. That's usually because of the frame that I was telling myself that it had to be all done at once. I needed to sit down and I needed to just go. As a matter of fact, I had a conversation with some colleagues about this morning, not clients, but colleagues, where they were struggling with how to get things done in the age of ADHD. And ADHD, like I'm not sure if it's a real thing or not. I'm not a psychologist, so I don't know. But we sure seem to have a lot of things competing for our attention. So I could see how it's easy to have your attention be grabbed by different things and go different ways. I probably had 4 notifications show up on my computer since I started this particular episode here. So there's a lot going on, and we tell ourselves it's got to be done all at once. But they were saying like, hey, what do you do? Like, what's your trick? And so I'll share with you my exact trick. My exact trick is that I take the things that I need to do on a daily or weekly basis, and I figure out how to break them down as small as I can. And for me, usually my measuring stick is 30 minutes. If I can get it done in 30 minutes, then that's small enough. What that does is 1, it gives me a smaller amount of time to focus, and 2, it helps me build momentum towards the thing that I'm trying to accomplish, recognizing that anything hard is just a series of easy things. And it's amazing how many places this comes up. It came up over the weekend with my wife's closet. So my wife's got this closet that I'm envious of because it's absolutely massive. And she's struggling with organizing it because, as women tend to do, she's got a lot of stuff. She's got a lot of clothes. She could probably go 3 or 4 months and not wear the same thing twice. She may have to wear the same pair of shoes like twice in that. So she's got a lot of stuff that's going on in her closet. And over time, between our daughter playing dress up in there, her not having enough time to put everything away because she's taking a kid to practice or like whatever it is, she had trouble organizing it. And we were talking about this and she's like, I can never get started because it's a whole day. It's going to take me a whole day to do that. And when do I have a whole day? Because she really doesn't. And so I shared with her the principle that I'm sharing with you guys here, which is that a little bit is better than none. And I said, well, is there any day where you have 30 minutes to an hour? And she's like, yeah, every day. Okay, so if you did that, why wouldn't you just spend 30 minutes to an hour every day until it was done and just take little pieces of a time? Take one shelf, take one shoe rack, take one set of shirts. Like whatever it is that you need to do it that way. And what do you know? She started doing it and she feels like she's making progress. It's still got some more to go, but she's making progress on this. And as a matter of fact, I can see stuff in her closet now, which is awesome. Something I talk to my clients about a lot along this same principle is this principle of filling in the gaps. As you go throughout your day, you probably have gaps in it. You'll have like a meeting, then there'll be another meeting, but the first one got over a little bit earlier, or you scheduled it to get over a little bit earlier, and maybe you've got a 15 to 20 minute gap in between the two. One of the things that my clients usually struggle with when we start is not doing anything of substance in that 20 minutes. Either they'll check their emails, which I'll argue is a practically worthless task to do more often than once or twice a day. Or they'll sit there and say, I don't have enough time to do anything, and they'll scroll their social media feeds for a few minutes. But that gap, when you add it up over the course of a week, over the course of a month, a quarter, or even a year, adds up to a massive, massive amount of time. So we have to fill in the gaps, which is making all the time you have as useful as it can possibly be. And so I'm just showing them, like, listen, guys, what we've got to do during that time is make even just a little bit of progress towards your bigger priorities. Because if we can do that, like I said, it adds up over time. We think that these little bits of time are insignificant and therefore we don't do anything with them. They find themselves on the cutting room floor. But the reality of it is that they certainly will help if you utilize them. So we've got to fill in the gaps. Like, so I'm thinking about this and it's like, what can I do in 15 or 30 minutes towards the big things that I'm accomplishing today? Now, one of the things that I get pushback on all the time, you may give me pushback on this too, which is why I'll address it right here, is that it's really hard to stop and start, or start and stop. It's hard to do that because I've got to get ramped up, I've got to get in the mental frame where I can focus on this and I can go. But here's the thing with it. You always will have to start and stop. And even if you got only 10 minutes done in a 30-minute block, that's still 10 more minutes than you would have gotten done if you just sat there and decided to scroll your social media feed. You're 10 minutes closer to completion the next time you start again. That's the big thing. That's what filling in the gaps is. That's what this lesson, a little bit is better than none, is. That's the deal, guys. So I want you to ask yourself, and I want you to look at your day. Look at your last couple days, maybe your last couple work days. Look at the gaps. Look at the gaps. You can look back in your calendar, look back in your schedule. If you need to just look back at it from memory, then do that. But what's going to happen here is you're going to identify the gaps. I want you to identify how much time and how many gaps were involved in those things and figure out really how much you could have gotten done. Now then, multiply that over the course of a month. I'll bet you anything that you come up with at least 2 more days, because that's what we're seeing on average. And of course, if you like this video, make sure that you smash the like button. Also, share this episode. Don't keep it for yourself. If there's somebody in your life you know needs to hear this message, make sure to hit the share button, send them a text message. Super easy to do, and it'll impact that many more people. Don't just keep it for yourself. All right, guys. Thanks a lot. We'll see you on the next episode.